Greetings, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another COMETSA Tuesday. Today is the 9th of June, the second Tuesday of the month. We're supposed to be talking about authorship and readership development, but we had a bit of a challenge last week, Tuesday, and we decided to bring back the same show as last week, continue where we left. This is COMETSA Television Network. My name is Sam Zimmer. I'm your host and the anchor. We continue where we left it last week. We spoke about the new portal, the membership portal navigation, members updates and profiling, and we have a guest, and she is back. Andulela Suka is back from the Arte. So I'm going to touch a bit on the membership portal and why we introduced it. And then, of course, I would like Andulela to take it from where she left it last time. So this is the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. Our show is based on the principle called the idea. We inform and entertain. We develop and educate. We empower and support. We associate and network. That's the idea. Now, the membership portal, why did we introduce it? We have been running membership organization for years, and we have made our lessons, and we have listened to our members. Members want to be active. Members want to be having control on their profile. And this was a big ask, and we responded. And we introduced this portal so that once members join, they are able to really manage their own platform, their own profile, and join mastermind groups, volunteer to serve in some of our development agencies, and network with each other. And that is the idea we really materialized. To materialize, and we have the Lekgotla mastermind networks, and then of course we have got other specialized networks that as members you could be involved without us having to come on your way. Now, as new members, obviously the portal is there for you to go through the registration process, creating your member profile, and I can tell you that the experience of just putting together your own profile is very much enriching. You get to know how to find what is important around you that you want to load onto your profile. So the membership application process is also digitalized, is A to Z without any interference by us, up to the point of paying your membership and then, of course, receiving your membership certificate if you want to download it, and your membership card. Both of them have a QR code, so there's no need for you to be certifying it because anyone can scan that QR code, will be able to tell whether it is genuine membership and whether it is up to date. You are also able to download your membership reference letter, which many organizations require, especially if you are sponsored by your organization to belong to a professional organization like us. So there is value there, and we have responded accordingly. In terms of existing members, we have written to you, we have given you between now and the end of the year to make sure that you bring your house in order and populate your profile. If you happen to be the associate of COMETSA, we don't need to be calling you and asking you to send us up-to-date documents. You can just manage your own portal. And of course, if you have lost your membership, your login password, just click on forgot password and the portal will send you a link for you to reset your password. If you don't know where you can find the login link, you can go to COMETSA-goc.com. Right at the bottom, there is an icon. You press login as a member. It will take you to the background, to the back room, and then you are able to do your stuff. So over and above updating your profiles, this portal allows you to also upload many other documents that are important to you depending on the profession that you are in. And then, of course, you can access the membership benefits listed on the landing page, the Lekgotla networks you want to be part of, as mentioned, and then the mastermind groups that you want to belong to. This is a lifelong continuous development portal. You make it what you want it to be. So that's really the benefit of using the portal, and this is the offering that we give to our members. So we have transitioned and we have gone digital. If you are struggling to be on digital platforms, we can assist you there. You are welcome to contact us and we will be able to help you. Our call center number is +27 87 474 0904, or you can drop us a note, an email at callcenter@cometsa-goc.com. Call center is spelled CALLCENTRE, and it's at cometsa-goc.com. So that is all about how we can service you as our member and how we can help you create a portal, a platform, a profile that really sells you and your business and what you are all about. So that was part one. Part two is what we're here about. We want to talk business of our members. And that member today, as mentioned, is Anju. She was with us last week. We continue with her business, Arte, if I pronounce it well, Anju.
Yes, well done.
Thank you. Thank you. I noticed earlier on I said Arte, but it's Arte, right?
It's Arte, yes, Arte.
Arte, is that Italian?
It's Spanish.
Spanish, which means?
Yes. Spanish for art.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
let me give you the opportunity to greet the viewers. And then, of course, I always like to start a conversation like this with the story. And I know you have a beautiful story. I've heard it so many times, and I can listen for it forever. I'm not going to deny our members from hearing your story. But over to you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sam. You know, I think I remember you right at the beginning at the first ProNet event, you know, as I don't know if you remember the conversation that was being had. It was about building your personal brand, you know, and knowing Olindiwe and you coaching, you know, you being her coach and just working with COMETSA and being part of COMETSA and having conversations with you that always propel me, you know, to think bigger about my business. So I just want to start off by saying thank you for that. I don't know if you remember that conversation.
I still remember very well that conversation. That is the conversation that led us having you at our COMETSA Radio Worldwide show, right?
Yes, the conversation about also the business model canvas that you had with me, that one-on-one coaching session where you taught me the importance of bringing out my value proposition as a business, you know. So yes. It's so good, and it's always, you know,
Lindy remembers that very well.
You know, it's always good to talk to you.
It's a Bible. That's our Bible.
Yeah. You know, it's always good to talk to you, always good to have conversations with you. So it feels good to be back, you know. And my name, like you said, is Andulela Suka. I am the founder, you know, of Arte, and Arte means art in Spanish. So in my studies of hospitality, I also studied Spanish. So, you know, Spanish comes, to me as very significant as part of my journey in learning in hospitality.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just hold it there. Just hold it there, and we're going to. I want us to hear the whole story. But before we continue, Lindy I think she wanted to comment on the contribution business canvas model, but also greet the listeners, the viewers, Lindy, and you can comment on what you've just heard. And over back to her.
Oh, well, thank you for having me again. And I look forward to this conversation from last week because it started off on a really good bang, but just because of communication. But Big Sis is back, and I'm so grateful that you were able to connect. Yes, I'm so reminded about on the big the business canvas. It's such an important part of my entrepreneurial journey, and it's basically it's like a Bible, more or less outlining everything that you're supposed to be doing when it comes to your business, and it's just a foundation. It's a good thing to have, and I'm really glad that I could also relate to some of fundamentals when you say you started off with your business. Yes.
Maybe at the end of the show we can have a few minutes talking about it and recommend it to people that are the entrepreneurs out there. But yes, back to you.
And I also know a few words of Spanish. Muy bien.
Oh, ¿cómo está?
¿Cómo está?
Wow. We are truly international. Tell us a little bit about your story of having to study Spanish, and then of course the whole journey that took you to where you are now. Obviously, we will interject in between.
Okay, all right. So let me start from the beginning, right? Which is my mother. So my mother has a catering business back home, and she also, has a guest house back home in the Eastern Cape. That's where I'm originally from, in the Eastern Cape, right? Edugwa. And, during the holidays, in primary school, in high school, people are enjoying their holidays. We are busy catering, doing invoices, going to an event. Hey, you always arrive at the perfect time with my mother. My daughter, you couldn't have arrived. The time you arrived is so perfect. I need you to go and chop those potatoes. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. That was the greeting, for me. And, so I grew up in hospitality, and also in varsity. I studied at Stand in South Africa. I got my degree in hospitality. I also studied Spanish as a language, and also I did my internship in America. And then I graduated with my degree. Then I moved to Franschhoek. I got my first job as a receptionist in Franschhoek. And then I moved to Dubai and Abu Dhabi to continue working in 5-star establishments, So I've always enjoyed working in places where service is at an exceptional high, So I've always been taught the importance of creating those memorable, beautiful experiences for guests, Hospitality, what I'm learning about.
Just hold it there. There is some nuggets that are coming out of your journey, and I really want us to go back. You studied hospitality, and then you ended up being in the US. What took you to the US, and where in the US, and what did you do there?
So because I was studying hospitality, one of the requirements was I had to do an internship, which is a practical, right? So I found out of an opportunity that was offered by our government to take South Africans to the US. Visa, flights, accommodation, all paid for, all expenses paid for 1 year, right? So then I went to a hotel, which is a 5-star, 5-diamond hotel called the
That's
Broadmoor
amazing.
Hotel in
Wow.
Colorado Springs. So that was my first internship opportunity, you know, in a 5-star, 5-diamond establishment, you know. And for me, that was where I started learning the importance of going above and beyond for customers. I was working, you know, as a hostess,
Just
and I
bring
was
back
also
that.
working in in-room dining service, you know, and that is then the experience that has cultivated, you know, who I am today, you know, working with different people, being in different places, you know, and also, you know, there were people from Jamaica, people from Hungary, you know, we were all excited to be in America, you know, people from Russia. So I made friends from different places, you know, and there were a lot of us South Africans there as well. And I remember I was so excited when I was going to America. I thought I was going to see gold. I was like, yo, I'm going to just see gold everywhere, you know, because, you know, it was my first time going, you know, and it was such an amazing experience. And one of the things I always recommend to people in hospitality in particular, in any industry, you have to travel. You know, you have to travel because travel expands your knowledge, you know, it expands your network, you know, and it allows you to see beyond what you are seeing right now, you know. So
Lindy seems to be aware of the brand that you just mentioned. Am I right, Lindy? The hotel brand that she mentioned, or you've heard of it?
Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs, that's what you said?
Yes,
Yes.
the
Oh,
area
yeah,
is
that,
Colorado Springs. The name of the hotel is the Broadmoor Hotel.
I don't know
It's a 5-star.
specifically, but it's a
Sorry?
5-star. Yes.
Yes,
I don't know,
yes. Five.
but it's a 5-star. Yeah, the cuisine and
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just I love how you touch on the service and the service levels being part of your journey and the importance of matching the two with cuisine, and it's just those things that are lost now, but I'm so glad that you still have it with you, that the importance of that. And when you plate it and you present it, it's even more. Wow. Yeah.
Wow. Beautiful.
Yeah. Really
Wow.
beautiful.
So you got to meet other people from other places, but at the end of the day, what was bringing you together was being your internship in this outfit, and you say that's where you really picked up the concept of service beyond, right?
Yes,
Is
yes.
that what shaped you, or did it add to what your mom had given you?
It definitely added, you know, my mother brought the entrepreneurial, you know, push, you know,
So
until you succeed mentality. And the US brought the going above and beyond. Even, you know, at the US, even when you're going to a normal supermarket like a Pick and Pay, there's someone that's going to come to you at the door that's going to say, hello, you chose to come here. Can I help you get anything? You know, so it is a culture in America because they've got tight competition, and you'll find restaurants lined up, you'll find banks lined up. So when you walk into any store, you are treated like the only person in that store, you know. So I learned that culture from them, to say any person that you interact with, they must feel like they are the only people that matter at that moment, you know. And that is something that I have taken with me, you know, throughout my journey. So I'm very grateful for my mother, and also very grateful for the opportunity, you know, that I've had, you know, in America, because I won't mention names, but some stores you go to and you have to wait. A person doesn't greet. Like those small things that a person doesn't realize, that smile makes a difference, you know. And you doing it out of habit is because you saw the impact that it makes, you know, into someone's daily experience, into someone's life, you know.
So after a year doing your internship in the US, what then changed when you reflected at that time? What had changed in a year's time of being there as you were coming back home?
Yes, and as I was coming back home, I was like, wow, you know, I didn't like, from an experience perspective, you can provide a good service, you know, for your customers. And one of the things that I learned also was to develop a hard working skill, you know, to be a hard worker, you know, to work hard for what you want, right? And it's so sad that in this day and age with social media, people think everything is just happening instantly, you know. But what I learned and what I've taken with me, what I took with me was work hard, and you know, and you can get. One of the things the managers said to me was, whatever you want to be known for, be able to identify it. If you want to be known as someone who is kind, right, then ask yourself, how do I become kind to someone else? You know, so those were the nuggets that I was taking with me to say, who do I then want to be when I go back home? Who do I then want to be known for when I go back home? And I had to be known as someone that creates experiences, not just any experiences, but memorable experiences.
Wow.
And when I got
Ladies
my
and
job,
gentlemen, we are talking to Andulela Suka, the founder of Arte, a hospitality business based in Johannesburg. She's just sharing with us her background, where she started, all the way from the Eastern Cape, rural area in Eastern Cape, I assume, and landed in the US for internship. Then you come back at Andu, and you find yourself at French Hook. And all of a sudden, you're now talking wine as a specializing.
I'm talking vino. I'm talking wines.
Yeah, tell us what connected you then with French Hook.
Yes. So in French Hook, right, I applied for a job opportunity there, you know, because I got a referral from my teacher at school, right, to say, here is an opportunity, you know, they are looking for a receptionist at Le Quartier Français. That was the name of the hotel at the time, you know, and I jumped at the chance. I had my first Skype interview with the hotel manager, and I moved to French Hook, you know.
Wow.
It was tough. It was different. In America, I never had to pay for rent. I didn't have, you know, to worry about the rent. Now I have to worry about the rent. I have to worry about transport. I have to now, you know, be responsible, you know. And it was such a good learning ground for me. You know, I started off as a receptionist. And one thing about French Hook is there was a lot of international clients that came, you know. So it was so good for me to get that experience in America, because I was able to then be a good receptionist. You know, every customer that came, I made it a point that I give them that service that I had learned in America, you know. And because French Hook is a winelands, you know, I had to know everything about French Hook, so that when someone comes and they want to do anything in French Hook, they're coming to me as the receptionist. So I had to know everything. I had to taste this wine, Mr. Sam. So I was going to different wine farms, learning about wine, understanding about the history of French Hook, you know, learning about the culture of wine. And I became really interested in it, you know. And I started appreciating it also, meeting the winemakers, you know, and recommending this to my customers, because one of the most important things was, how are you going to make sure that a customer that comes gets the full Franschhoek experience? So that's how then I got immersed also into the wine space and also into food, Ruben's restaurant in Franschhoek, the tasting room, the 8-course tasting room, La Petite Calome. The culture in Franschhoek is food, it's wine, and I was also then immersed in that. I remember there was a restaurant called French Connection. It was in the corner, which is French corner of Franschhoek, and they had French food, good food. So I was in my element there, Mr. Sam. Then I worked for 6 months in reception. Then
I don't know about you, Lindy. As she's just talking about food, I'm just feeling like I could just munch the taste, that food. I'm sure somebody say, I've got to be in French.
Right. Was this before the Dubai and Abu Dhabi, or was it?
Yes, this is before.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yes.
And you also learned
please carry on.
sommelier.
I'm sure the viewers will be angry with me for interrupting, but it's just
literally,
carry on, please. I'm getting very. I just feel like I want to grab the food, but I'm also enjoying the story. So I think I will stick with the story. We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So 6 months as a receptionist, and being the person that I am, Mr. Sam, which I'm very ambitious, and I was like, there's got to be more. I spoke to the hotel manager. I'm like, okay, it's been 6 months. It's been good. What else can I do? Then I moved to the reservations department at the hotel. Now I am behind the scenes. I'm taking reservations. I'm taking deposits. I'm learning the ropes on how to be in reservations, what to do in reservations, building relationships with agents, making sure that agents book our hotel, selling our hotel to agents. I got such an amazing experience. And then the reservations manager was on leave. I even got more exposure, and learned about how does a hotel work, and it was such a great experience. It was a boutique hotel, about 16 beds. It was a 5-star establishment in Franschhoek. And then I was like, Heike, now I need more. I've done this, I've got this experience, I need more. And fortunately, a friend of mine that I met in America told me of opportunities in Dubai. He said, Andu, come to Dubai, right? They are looking for South Africans, and you don't have to worry about flights. They give you your visa, they give you accommodation. I was like, yo, and I missed this life of not having to pay rent. Let me go.
This is like a dream. It's like,
everything just falling into place.
Everything falling into place. I worked for Starwood hotels, the Marriott chain. If you know Marriott, it was a chain of hotels, St. Regis, the W, and Westin, right? And I was working in the reservation space there. I did my interview. They took me. I left Franschhoek on a good note, of course, and they were like, we wish you all the best. I still keep in contact with some of, my previous hotel manager, and I moved to Dubai, and it was such an amazing experience. The culture shocked me at first, Back then, I think it was a little bit more stricter than it is now, and just learning about dress code, learning about the culture. And I was like, sure. But the place, beautiful, and I was so fascinated because in varsity, we did a study on Dubai, that this is a land that was built out of nothing. There was nothing in Dubai. It was just a piece of land, and what came out of it was the Palm Jumeirah. So it was almost like, for me, I was like reliving my studies when I got the opportunity now to actually work in Dubai, and I worked there. A lot of people, South Africans, Nigerians, Kenyans, Kyrgyzstans, Russians, Americans, a lot of people, Europe, like a lot of people from different parts of the world were in Dubai. We were all trying to make a living, and it was a tax-free life. I don't know now what's happening. We were not paying tax in Dubai. Our salary was as is, and
so that's how they were attracting the best talent from all over the world, right?
Yeah. That's how they were attracting the best
Ladies
talent.
and gentlemen, that's Anju and me, Sam Zimmer, and Lindy. We are having a conversation. This show is dedicated to the members of COMETSA. We're showcasing what Anju's professional journey has been like. And at the moment, she is in Dubai in terms of telling the story. So you went to Dubai. This time you're no longer an intern, you are actually an experienced hotel employee, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. And how long were you in Dubai and what brought you back home?
So in Dubai, I'd say in the UAE, I was there for 3 years, right? I spent my first year in Dubai. Then a friend of mine or a colleague from my school then told me of an opportunity to work for the vice president of food and beverage in one of the big hotel brands in Abu Dhabi. So then I took that opportunity. So I started off in Dubai. I worked in food and beverage reservations. I was taking reservations for all the different restaurants. So there were over 5 different restaurants because it was 3 hotels in one big complex. So 3 different hotels, and they all had different restaurants, right? So I was then taking reservations for all those restaurants. I think there were over 5 of them, And then a friend of mine said, Andu, we are looking for a food and beverage coordinator to the vice president of Rotana. And I was like, okay, cool. Asambeni, let's go to Abu Dhabi.
So you've always been ready to move on. So you're highly mobile, right?
I'm very, I was having a conversation this morning, and someone was telling me they've been working for one company for 16 years, and I was like, wow, one thing I love though about hospitality is that it allows you these opportunities to travel. It allows you space and room, to travel and to learn and to explore, and it's only now that I'm having this conversation, I'm seeing how everything comes together, the journey, how life is a journey. It's not a destination, because everything that you are experiencing is contributing to where you are going, So I moved then to Abu Dhabi. Completely different life to Dubai. Dubai is like Joburg, fast pace. Let's go. Abu Dhabi, the Muslims, they say inshallah, which is we will do it if it is the will of the Lord, which means whenever we will get to it at the right time. That is the Abu Dhabi approach. It's like Pretoria, very calm. Nothing is, there's no rush hour. There's no rush for anything. So it was such a completely different environment. But also, I learned a lot there because I was at the head office now, of this hotel brand. I was more on the corporate side rather on the operation side, and I got to learn the ins and outs, of menu development. I got to learn administration. I got to learn, being an assistant, responding to GMs when they want something from the vice president, scheduling meetings, planning, Mr. Sam, sleepless nights, working, proving yourself, you know. And that's one of the things that I also learned was as you grow in the industry and in your experience, there comes a time when you are like, ish, I need to prove myself, because I was at the head office now. I was not just, doing normal operations.
Working for
and
the
it
vice
was
president.
Working for the vice president, where GMs now, I needed to address them. Mr. Sam, it was an experience that I'm really like grateful for. I had to work. I worked there, and one of the things I learned was innovation in food and beverage. People would come with ideas, and the vice president would be like, tell me more about this idea. Why this idea? How is this idea different from this one? If you want to implement this, So I also learned the importance of innovation in the food and beverage space, in the culinary space. You don't want to sound like another restaurant. You don't want to just be an operation, but you want to bring about innovation, So that is what I learned, right?
Yeah.
In
Lindy, just listening to Andrew's story, so what comes to mind is the independence. And then I'm just reflecting back to what you have told us so far, from being made to work as a partner with your mom, to going away to hospitality school to US and Dubai and Abu Dhabi. And I never heard you saying that I had to consult with my mom or anybody else before I took this decision. You just moved on. And I don't know about you, Lindy. That independence is sometimes lack of it is what holds people from moving on. And it looks like you probably had your briefcase always packed and ready to move on as the opportunities were presented to you.
Yeah.
Definitely. You weren't set back. Yeah. You weren't like sitting back. You were like out there. What's the next thing? How do I need to grow? Wow. Really good. Really good stuff.
It's amazing. Carry on. So you are in Abu Dhabi, and for how long?
Yes, I'm in Abu Dhabi now for 2 years, right? And I just want to say that I still have friends that are working in Abu Dhabi. They've grown in their careers. One is now a restaurant manager, and another one, she opened up her own spa, and she started off working as a therapist, stayed in Dubai, stayed in the UAE, and she has her own business now, So everyone has their own different paths, She stayed the course. And for me, I was like, I've taken all of this experience. I want to now go home, And my uncle even said to me, you cannot take all of this experience and keep it to yourself. Let's take it. And he was like, travel in China, do all these things, but you must come back home. You must come back.
Yeah.
Okay? come back home. So came back to South Africa, and the doors were opened for me to become an assistant front office manager in Franschhoek because I had good relations with them, you know. Then after 6 to 8 months, I was a duty manager in Franschhoek. You know, then I knew that I was in line to be a hotel manager. Then I was going to be a groups manager, you know. So I had already planned, Kuti, now I'm just growing my career. I've collected the experience. Now I want to grow my career, you know. So then in 2020, as I was a duty manager in Franschhoek, I came to Joburg to celebrate my birthday, you know, and I was like, Aish, it's March. My birthday is in March. Let me come to Joburg, celebrate. Huh? Do I not get locked down in Johannesburg, Mr. Sam?
Oh no, COVID.
COVID happens. I get locked down. Our hotel is now closed because of COVID. There was someone that had tested positive at the time, so our hotel had to close, right? Our hotel is closed. COVID, everything shut down completely, right? Next thing, they were like, okay, you have two options, right? We give you a severance package, or you would have to come back. But how are you going to come back? Because you are locked down. I'm in Joburg. I can't now go to Franschhoek, right? How I lose my job, right? And now I have
Just
to
like that.
make a living. Just like that. Now I have to make a living in Johannesburg. Mind you, I had just come here for my birthday. I'm coming here for my birthday for the weekend, and then I'm going to go back to work. I've had this plan of growing my career. Now, hotels are closed. The industry is affected the most because of COVID, right? And fortunately for me is there was a friend of mine from high school was part of an organization, right, called Girls Lunch, which is about women empowerment, you know. And I joined this organization and I met amazing people. And then I started having online conversations on my Instagram about what will it take to get employment. I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for employment. I'm like, what is going on? So then I had to start my own business, Mr. Sam. You know, I started my own business in 2020. I started my own wine distribution business called Isiselo Why Not? And at the time, I had a friend who was my roommate when I was at the US, and I was very close with. So she's like, let's work together. Let's also consult restaurants. Let's do menu development, recipe development, you know, started doing that. Then I got a job at a student accommodation. I was referred. And one thing I'm realizing about this conversation is most of my opportunities are referrals from the networks that I have.
Which suggests that you are very good at making and keeping relationships and networking.
In making, you know, and I was referred to by a friend to say, hey, there's someone that's looking for someone to help them run their student accommodation. Please help. And I got that job, you know. And whilst I was doing that job, I started my PG dip at Henley Business School. You know, my aunt was like, okay, why don't you study? You know, and then she covered my fees to do my postgraduate at Henley Business School. When I graduated, Mr. Sam and Lindy, I said, okay, now I'm going full time into business. I have accumulated the experience. I have my postgrad. If this confidence is not enough, I don't know. Let me start. Let me start the business.
Yeah.
And one thing about this journey is I'm learning the importance of one, keeping your networks, continuously networking,
Yeah.
and always making sure that you leave any person on a good note. Whoever that person is, you must leave on a good note.
It's
I
called
had
Don't
a
Burn
business
Bridges.
partner.
Sorry,
Sorry?
it's called
Yeah.
Don't Burn Bridges. Don't burn your bridges.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
that connect you. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm looking at my notes here. You took us through
Yes.
your professional
Don't
journey,
burn.
and now this is the point at which you entered entrepreneurship journey. And it sounds like you did not sit down and say, I'm now transitioning. It just happened. Am I right?
Yes, yes. It just happened. And there's a song by Whitney Houston that says, I did not know my own strength. And now I realized that I did not know that I could be in business
Mm.
alone.
Mm. All along, you have been pursuing corporate career, but it does look like yours is actually entrepreneurship.
Because now I'm starting my journey in
It's a bit like
entrepreneurship.
it's just a little bit laggy.
Are we having a connection challenge there?
Yeah, the
She's
connection is
hanging.
lagging. Yeah, it's lagging.
Can you hear us, Anju?
I wonder why.
Yeah,
Oh,
but we
can
can
you
hear
hear
you
me
now.
now?
We lost you a
Yeah,
bit
we
there.
Oh,
yeah,
fantastic.
we can hear.
Yes,
Yeah, we,
yes. No,
we lost
don't
you at the
bite.
point where I was saying that you were pursuing your corporate career, but it sounds like yours was entrepreneurship, and now you are connected with it, and it looks like that was the point at which you started, and I guess that's the point where you and I met.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. When I was starting, and I had a business partner, who was my friend. And another thing I learned was you don't necessarily have to mix business with pleasure, because you don't always have to do business with your friends
Mm,
and you can do business alone. So I
mm,
started off with a business partner and we both started at UJ. And then afterwards, she had to then continue working full time. And then I continued with the business by myself. So that is how Arte was born. Because I'm
mm,
part of an organization called Gauteng Women in Tourism, I saw an opportunity there to operate a coffee shop they didn't mention that it was UJ. They just said, we are looking for someone to run a kitchen. And I was like, okay, let me find out what this is. And then
mm,
I discovered that it was at the University of Johannesburg and it was at the Arts Center
mm,
Theatre. So the Arts Center has a theatre, a 400-seater theatre, and I had to now build my brand. And
mm,
what I decided to do was to say, I'm at the art center and
mm,
food is a type of art, you know.
Yeah.
Why not call this place Arte? And that is how Arte was born, you know. And
I
our
see.
initial, you know, our initial tagline is where art meets aroma, you know, because we believe that food is an art, coffee making is an art, wine tasting is an art, you know, everything that encompasses food and beverage is an art. Training, skills development, that is an art, you know.
Mhm.
So that is then how Arte was born, you
Well,
know.
I guess that's where Nomvuyo is linking your name with, or link to. She just, I shared a comment there that she posted that Andulela Suka is so inspiring, founder of Arte, which combines youth development with hospitality. Well done, keep it
Yes.
up. I will visit your cafe at UJ. I can't wait. Always willing to learn and to pursue experiences. I like the quest for excellence. That's your response
Oh,
to
thank you so
Nombuyo's
much.
comment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nomvuyo. You know, so yeah, Mr. Sam, that is how Arte was born, and we had another pillar, which was then the catering side. And the beauty of catering at the university was that now you had to be part of the vendor system, yeah, which took time. Eh?
Mm,
One thing I learned at UJ is it's not easy to get a customer. You have this idea, you have this
mm,
amazing product, you've
yeah.
put so much effort in packaging it, in selling it.
Mm.
But now, do you remember, Mr. Sam, when you used to come and there were no customers?
I
There
remember
were
those
no
early
customers,
days.
you know. Those early days when there were no customers at the coffee shop, you know, trying to find people to come, to give people a reason to come, you know, trying to be innovative because the coffee shop, you know, student center, right? It's outside of the student center. So people are not just gonna automatically come, you know. So I had to get influencers, student influencers involved. I had to offer a delivery service to say, hey, you're a lecturer, you want food, I will deliver to you, you know. I will
Mm,
deliver to you and offer the best coffee on campus, you know, make sure that quality, good coffee is provided, you know. And one of the twists was to offer a healthy alternative menu, you know, to say we are not going to offer ama slab chips, we are not going to offer ama gunya, we are not going to offer ama kota, we are not going to offer things at the student center, ama hot dogs, ama buravors. We need to come up with something that is more unique. So we are offering a healthy alternative menu. Are you a vegan? Are you a vegetarian? Do you watch what you eat? We have low GI bread. We have rye bread here. We have sourdough
mm,
bread here, you know. So I had to then start packaging it. And I'm so grateful because it helped me define who we are as a company to say, we want to help fight against high blood pressure. We want to help fight against all these, you know, diseases that we struggle with, you know, as people. We want to create, we care about your health. We care
mm,
about your well being. So we had to be intentional to say, who are we going to be as a brand? You know, so
mm,
every experience then cultivated us doing studies and getting to know how we can tap into a market, So that is then how we grew at UJ. We had a coffee shop, we had a catering pillar, and also then in partnership with CATSETA, we had students studying hospitality that came to receive training and development. Hey, what an interesting journey, Mr. Sam.
And I'm very interested in the type of challenges you had to deal with, especially when it comes to having to manage a team, and also maybe start by telling us what kind of a team you had and how many people you had to take over and take care of. All those challenges that, I'm sure if you had a choice, you would just do your selling food, but now you are people. How did that transition?
And you have your business canvas too. And you have your business canvas
there you
too.
are.
Your business model canvas is there. One of the biggest challenges, Mr. Sam, is getting people to see your vision, getting people to align with the brand, getting people to understand that even when you are not there, right, the vision, the values of the company need to be lived every single day. That is the biggest challenge, because people have their own expectations, people have their own vision, people have their own way in which they want to do things. So it was aligning. So I had 3 full-time staff members, right? I had a person in the kitchen, I had a person doing admin and supervising, and I had a barista. So I had 3 full-time staff, and then I had 7 students, right, from CATSETA. Now, with the students, right, the biggest challenge there was, Sis Andu, I've just requested an Uber and it's so expensive right now. So I want to wait a little bit until the prices drop and then I'm going to come to work. These were the responses from my kids. Sis Andu, it's a Friday. Can I leave early today? And maybe, Sis Andu, if I work an extra hour today, then I need to leave early that next week. Do you know Veronica Lindy?
Veronica. Yes. Oh, wow.
Literally, that is how the students, that is the language, Mr. Sam. It's my time. And the thing is with the industry is that it's up and down. Our hospitality, one moment you are busy, the next moment you are not. There are seasons of peak and seasons of trough. So there are going to be days when you're going to work an extra hour or 2. Extra hour. Then that next week, I'm taking it back, or I'm taking back those minutes there. That is what.
Remember.
But remember, But one of the things that I can say was also good was that, the innovation that the youth have, the innovation that these guys have. They were
coming fresh knowledge from their classes.
Fresh knowledge from their classes. Also, integration of technology, being savvy, working smart and not hard when you don't need to work hard, but work smart, that was very refreshing, and seeing some of them get opportunities overseas, seeing some of them get full-time opportunities elsewhere, that for me was also, it also made me feel good that, I made an impact, so it was such a beautiful experience, and then this year, was our third year operating at the coffee shop at UJ. And because it was a 3-year contract, we then had to leave. So Nomvuyo, you will not find us, at UJ anymore. But it was such a...
But she can find you wherever you are operating now, right?
Yes, no, she can find me. So I do more caterings now. I operate from 4 ways. We do caterings, we do events at the moment, and we also do wine tastings. I had one recently at Henley Business School. So we rotate, in different venues at the moment.
Please don't forget to invite the COMETSA members to come and taste, come for the wine tasting.
And be educated.
Yes, and be educated. And this time around, we are doing a South African versus France. So we are comparing, South Africa with France, which is also critical because there's a long-standing debate, So UJ was really, which is the best? It was a good foundation, for the business. We have a lot of customers as a result from government, in Auckland Park area, in Johannesburg area. So now the relaunch was to relaunch and also say, you will find us in Sandton. Now we are growing into corporate. Now, we've even worked on cultivating our identity to say, what are the pillars of Arte? And that's where now eat comes into play, taste comes into play, inspire comes into play, where we have the different pillars within the company. And we are saying now that, yes, we've learned, we've built our systems, we've built a foundation. Now we are ready for corporate now. Now we are ready to start, doing events and working within the corporate space. So that is why it was so significant for us to do a relaunch of the brand. We've changed our logo, we've changed our look. We are very, professional. We are elevating the experience now. We are taking the experience higher. So yeah.
Wow. Lindy, do you have some reflections? This is a beautiful story, and I'm glad that it's sort of like it has defined itself for Anju. Now she's very much focused on a particular offering. Any reflection from your side?
It's a beautiful story and beautiful experience. And you touched on a lot of things from your personal growth, like just the importance of your ambitious spirit and your heart, how you cultivated that hard working in your journey, knowing the importance of hard working, and you always at the right place at the right time, because whatever you do, then something or someone propels you to the next. And I like how you started off with just mom. That's a very important foundation for me. And there's a lot of things that I can speak to, but not as successful as you are. Mom being the foundation and then teaching you, just the basics of what to do and rush and do this and let's do this. And you didn't have any say. We couldn't have say, but can we leave early? Can I do this? Can we do that? So when you get taught then and now, you couldn't say no. I'm just leaving. Can I do this later? No. And then you had so much things on the fact that personally, not being able to do business, you can do business alone, and you don't have to mix it with the pleasure part. There's so much things. Man, I don't want the lessons you learned, during the whole phase of this journey, and learning innovation and the service. There's so much, Mr. Sam.
There's a lot of inspiration from what you have shared, because sometimes people give up so quick. But listening to your journey and then the community that you have built and the networking that came to be handy when you needed it, it's incredible. I know it's not easy to build networks, but if you are able to do that and it pays back in this way, I mean, it can only be a lesson for many people out there. I mean, look at it now. We met at PNet, ProNet of Sislindiwe, and we have been in touch since ever. You're now part of the COMETSA ecosystem, and I'm sure you're building more other networks out there. So for me, that is really a big takeaway. You are a community, even though you run your business alone, but you need to have a community that you hook into, and the networks that you have built, they are serviced in a way because you've been able to go back to French Hook. You came now to establish yourself in Johannesburg, where you just came to celebrate your birthday, but this is now your home.
Right.
And you brought back all that experience, everything that you had under your belt, and now you're showcasing it. Not only like to the youth as well, and to everybody that you touch, and you through your food, it's very inspiring. You've done a great, amazing job. Wow.
Perhaps you want to share with the viewers why professional communities matter. And one such professional community is the ProNet of Sislindiwe, and then, of course, the COMETSA ecosystem, and I'm sure many others. Maybe just your reflection there.
Yes, so the ProNet, right? There's actually an upcoming event now on the 4th of July. I would recommend people to join. It's my aunt, actually. My aunt sent me the poster and said, you need to attend this event. And I was like, okay, let me attend. I listen. One thing about me, Mr. Sam, I listen. If someone suggests, I listen. And that's another important aspect is listening to recommendations that you get from people, because we are always on a learning journey. We will never get to a point where we can say, I've learned enough, So that is how I found out about ProNet. And since then, when my aunt shared the poster with me, then I followed, Andulela, and I was like, I'm following her. Whatever she does, I'm going to go and attend. I'm going to go and do, And then meeting you, I was so fascinated that, Mr. Sam is a coach of the COO of City Lodge Hotel Groups. What? Yeah. And I am in a space, I am in a network that has these people, I have to get to know them, I have to get to know them. And that's how I got to know you, Mr. Sam. And also, the coaching one-on-one session that you helped me redefine my business. because hey, I was a bit of a wishy-washy when it came to explaining the business, talking about the business.
I remember very
you
well
know.
that first session was it was a mission, but look at it now, you know. Yeah. No, that's beautiful.
Yes, you know, and you read.
Yeah.
And I was gonna say that like you really contributed, you know, I was gonna say you really contributed into giving me the confidence in identifying what is the value and what is the need of the customer, you know, because you're like, Andu, why do people need to drink wine? What is it about wine, you know? And I remember because at the ProNet event, you get an opportunity to talk about your business, you know. And I was wishy-washy, and there was this time where I spoke with such confidence and I gave my value proposition. And even Mr. Sam was like, yeah, you see now you are on the right track, you know. And I could also, you know, feel confident, you know. And I remember I was doing my hair last year. And when I was doing my hair, I met a lady. And this lady said to me, I know you. I don't forget people that make me remember them. And I was like, hmm? And she was like, oh, yes, you are the wine lady. You are the wine lady, you know? And I was like, yo. She attended
Beautiful.
ProNet,
This
such a
could have
long
just been a
time.
master class on its own, Lindy.
Yes,
And you,
absolutely.
I mean, how you stand up and really go for the opportunities. So I know that we have touched on so many things, but if there's one advice for an aspiring entrepreneur out there, what will that be?
Keep learning. That is the one advice, you know. Artificial intelligence, tech is taking over. And as a small business, there are a lot of entrepreneurs that are not understanding how to use those tools into their businesses, how to grow and maximize AI tools, technology into your business. If you are not available online, if you are not learning about AI, you are in trouble as an entrepreneur. You need to keep learning, you know, educate yourself. I attend, you know, training courses on AI. You know, how can I maximize Claude? You know, what can I learn from ChatGPT? Who are these different agents that I can have? And one thing I learned was for every one person with AI, you can have 100 people doing different things for you if you are able to learn and keep learning, you know. We are in that era where you have to, as an entrepreneur, know how to use and maximize on AI tools, on tech, you know.
Wow. And any future plans and aspirations that you are able to share right now?
There's something is coming, Mr. Sam. Something is coming. I will share more. You know, we are launching something really, really good, you know, that we had our relaunch and customers tasted and they enjoyed it and they were like, please, when it hit the shelves, let us know, you know. So something is definitely coming and stay tuned for it. Yeah.
And
And it also
the
has a
last one
Spanish.
from my side,
happening.
When you were located at a particular place, in this case, the campus, clients were coming to you because they knew where to find you physically. Now you no longer really focus on a location, you go out and look for clients. How is that experience so far of having to go out, look for clients so that you can go to their places, do catering and invite them to come? So how is that transition being, and are we succeeding?
So the transition has been tough because now people are not coming to me, right? I need to go to them, and it's taken me out of my comfort zone, and it's such and interestingly though, I still have relationships with my old clients. I still cater for UJ, for instance, so I still go and do caterings. I still have a database of clients that I do functions for. And now what I've learned is to be more aggressive in lead generation, more aggressive in conversions. That's why on my pages, I will be advertising the business. I will be advertising, I'll be attending. If I'm not attending a networking event, I'm attending an event, or I am talking to someone, or I am saying, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing. Hey, come to my event, So it's really taken me out of my comfort zone, but also I am really enjoying where I am right now, I think it had to happen so that I can further grow, And today, for instance, I had another meeting that's going to open, other doors for me within the space, So one of the things that it's teaching me is when you get out of your comfort zone, that is when you grow, that is where growth actually comes in. Because you might, as much as UJ was great for me, but I needed, there's so much more that there is to Arte, So, yeah.
Wow. Lynn, do you have any closing questions from your side? Max?
Texas Andule, I think it's because we take for granted that you already established in the much experience that you had being overseas, being in Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and then coming back, pivoting, the importance of coming back home here to, give to us this beautiful thing that you, developed throughout your journey. And then you are a brand. You already, you know who you are as a brand. And that's amazing. Because when you say Arte, I don't feel like you get it hard to get to people, because by word of mouth, they already know who Arte is. So the buzz is already there, the excitement is already there, and you being present is there. So it's amazing. There's so much things that I've just learned just by this talking to you, and I still want to talk to you even more. I still want to be in your space even more, because you have a lot that you have shared right now in the session. So I just want to say that when you said that the service, when you see the service overseas in your different journeys, do you still see the service now as you do business now? Do you still see that impeccable service, not only in the presentation of the food, in just generally, do you see it, and what could we do about it? Like, what do you do about it? What makes Arte different to bring it to the forefront every day? Like,
So one thing about service, and which is critical, is that it's not about you. You know, it's not about me. It's not about what I want. It's not about what I think is right, but it's about meeting the need of a customer. You
Right.
know, it's about creating an experience that a customer is going to say, wow, you know. And in the relaunch that I did, every single person was like, wow, you know, because of the type of experience that I provide, you know. And nowadays, businesses, I want, how much money am I going to get from this person? You know, it's all about, am I getting something? But one of the main important elements in understanding service is that you are not doing it for you. When you take yourself out of the equation, you are then able to put your shoes in someone else's. You are able to then say, who is this person? Get to know them so that you can meet their need, you know. And we are in an era now where it's all about me, me, me. What am I doing? What am I making? How much money can I get? You know, I want to be a billionaire. There's nowhere in this conversation where I had a monetary conversation, because for me, that is not why I'm in business. You know, I am building a brand. I'm building a world-class hospitality brand that when students that are studying hospitality, I want them to say one day, I want to work at Arte, not just at Hilton, not just at Four Seasons, but they must also know that a local Eastern Cape girl from the village built a world-class brand, you
Yes.
know. So I think that for
Wow.
me is what
That
wakes me up.
that explains it all, and that sounds like that is the purpose, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really good. That's really good.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Thank you for that. Thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that. That's really good.
this is very inspirational. So, share with the members of COMETSA how you experienced the portal. I know we've had to go back and forth until you were on board. How was the experience?
Yes. So the experience, actually, I was able to log in because I saw a reminder on email, right? That Andu, be reminded you need to renew your membership, right? And then I clicked on and in the reminder email, there's your email address, and then there is your password that is provided so that you can go in and fill up your banking details. Of course, at first there was a technical error, but I was able to send an email, and your service, Mr. Sam, quick response, you don't waste time. Michael responded, you know, I got assisted, and I was able to even renew my membership and make payment, you know, without with using my card, or you can use Apple Pay if you've got Apple Pay, you know, very seamless experience. And also what I found interesting was that I was even able to then update my profile also as a member, you know, to say, this is who I am, this is what I do, you know. And there's also a certificate. Hey, Mr. Sam, you know, there's a membership certificate that you get, you know, so that if you want to download it, you can, you know. So I found that to be really good. And also just navigating the portal to see there's different memberships also that people, you know, if you are part of an organization, there's a different membership available for you. If you are a coach, you are a registered coach, you know, you want to be part of COMETSA, there's a specific type of membership for you there. So I was very interested in seeing how, you know, the ecosystem firstly is seamless, and secondly, you know, the different memberships that are available, and that you can get a certificate without having to send an email. Hey, bengicela certificate, Sam, you know.
And
So
the
really,
membership card.
and the membership card also, and also you can update your profile as a member, you know. So really good system, you know, very tech savvy, Mr. Sam, you know.
Yeah, it's very personal. It's very personal.
Very personal.
That was the whole idea, that you want to feel that you are in charge of your own profile, because the profile is your brand as well. And thank you so much. I'm glad that we could actually really respond to so many of the needs that today are there, and some of them people didn't even know that they need them. But now that they are there, I mean, the concept of the QR code on your certificate and membership card takes away the need for you to have to go to a police station or commissioner of oath to certify it. That's the technology that you're talking about. But it's been really wonderful. I told you that I can listen to your story for many times, and every time I listen to your story, I learn something. Congratulations on really bringing the organization to where it is now. When we talk about accelerating entrepreneurship, these are the type of things we're talking about. And we are glad that we can offer you to the network of COMETSA. And please, members of COMETSA, the stakeholders out there, if you are having an event and you really need a high-touch catering service or wine tasting, or I've seen the presentation, as I was telling you earlier on before we went live, I watched some of the presentation online. I was like, why didn't I know about this? So now I'm glad you're mentioning the upcoming relaunch. I can't miss that. And of course, share with us your next wine tasting. And lastly, I know you owe us at COMETSA that trip to French Hook, back to the wineland. Maybe when things settle down, we need to organize a trip for members to the wineland.
Definitely. It's coming soon.
Thank you. We look forward to that.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Andulela Suka, the founder of Arte, the hospitality business in Johannesburg, a member of COMETSA as well. We know her story, we know where it started, and we are glad that we could present her to you this evening. Normally this session takes place on the first Tuesday of the month. We started last week, but we had some technical glitches, and that's why we brought her back. And apologies to those who have expected to have the authorship and readership development. We'll join you again the second Tuesday of next month in July. We had to finish this one, and I'm sure you are not disappointed. And we are really proud of the milestones that Andulela has achieved. And then, of course, her inspirational story, which on its own is a masterclass on how you manage your career. Thank you so much for that, Andrew. And of course, Mami down there in the Eastern Cape for having planted the seed, and we can see the big tree growing out of that. Sometimes you take it lightly when you are introduced early in these things, and look at it now today. So that was COMETSA Television Network, the mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. And thank you, Lindy Roderick, for always tuning in and joining us in the studio. We appreciate your input as well. I think we need to tell your story one day, because when Andrew was touching on her outlandish export into the US, then I remembered that you have the US behind your story as well. But when you are ready,
I can't wait to hear.
She has a great story as well. So the type of business that she is cooking there. So the day we present her as a member of COMETSA and her business, you've got to tune in, Andrew. You're going to be
definitely
as well.
I'll be there.
Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Sam.
Thank you. Let me remind you that These COMETSA Tuesdays are dedicated to particular themes. The first theme, as you experience it today, we talk about our portal, which is very important because our members need to know how to manage their profile. And then we present one member to you as we did today. The second Tuesday, we talk about authorship and readership development. The third Tuesday of the month, we look into executive coaching and mentoring, which is next week. We're going to talk about that. And the last Tuesday, we talk about the African Lekgotla facilitation methodology, which is really a methodology you need to put together teams to facilitate conflicts, to facilitate learning and development. My name is Sam Zima. Thank you for being with us, and please tune in next time, every Tuesday, same time, same platform. You stay in the studio, colleagues, as I disconnect from our members. And of course, those members that send us comments, Nonvuyo, as always, thank you so much for tuning in, and goodbye.